I'm installing HOSS 3 shocks on my 2023 two-door Bronco, and I've seen a lot of videos where they all seem to have a lift and a shop. I'm doing this in my driveway, and I just wanted to show you a video of how it's done when you don't have a lift. I've got the Bronco up on jack stands, and I'm using the technique where you lower the lower control arm and get it out of the way. And so this is what it looks like. I undid I installed a sway bar disconnect, and I had to undo that and move it back so I could get the bolts out for the lower control arm. And of course I had to disconnect the sway bar connection right here from the lower control arm. Everything else I left intact. So you see the upper control arm, the steering ball joint, brakes, all that are still connected. So I just took out those two bolts, and I guess what I'd say is I marked them so that I knew exactly how they're lined up, so I can put them back. They'll be close. I'm still going to get an alignment, but I marked the bolts before I took them out. And once I loosened them, I had to put a jack under the lower control arm, lift up a little bit. One thing I noticed is I had to remove that skid plate, or this lower control arm won't come out. There's a part of that skid plate that sticks over the rear part of it, won't let it come out. So I had to take off that, and then up at top, you just unscrew these, and I think this shock is going to just drop out of there. And then I'm going to try to install the new one, but this is my progress so far, and I'm going to see if you can actually do this in a driveway instead of in a professional shop. So I undid the top bolts, and the Bilstein shock came right out. That's just the standard SAS shock. You can see it next to the HOSS 3 Fox shock. The Fox is a lot bigger. They're supposed to be a lot better. So I also got a leveling kit. If you notice, I put a winch, well, you can't see it, but I put a winch on the front of my Bronco, and I lost about a ½ inch of ride height. So I bought a 1-inch leveling kit. I'm going to put the top half on it to try to get back that ½ inch and get it back to where it was at stock height. So at this point, I'm ready to try to get the Fox shock in there. Okay, I got the HOSS 3 shock in, and you can see it goes through the lower control arm. And then what I had to do, I got these back in, and it was actually easier than I thought. And you can see the marks that I made. So what I'm going to do is line up those marks with the wrench and then tighten it down. What I did to make it easier is I just hooked, you can see I kind of hooked the jack right on the lip of this lower control arm, and I just gently lifted it until the holes lined up. And I had to use a pry bar to just move them around just a little bit, but they lined up. The bolt went right through. It was something I was wondering how hard it was going to be. It wasn't that hard. So now I've got to tighten those up and start putting this all back together, and then do the other side. To get these top bolts out, I use the wrench and a wrench trick, so it extends the length of my wrench, and then when I pull on it, it loosens it right up. It's kind of hard to do with just the shorter wrench. Got the passenger side installed, everything put back together and tightened up. I connected the sway bar disconnect back up and put the skid plate back on. So I pretty much have everything back ready to go except putting the wheels back on. I've got the front wheels on, and I measured the ride height. It's about 1 inch higher than I had with the Bilsteins. So about half of that is the spacer I put in from the leveling kit. That should have given about ½ inch. So I'm estimating that the HOSS 3 gave it about a ½ inch increase in ride height. Now I need to turn the car around and put on the rears. I have the back jacked up and the wheel removed, but the first problem I'm going to encounter is the fact that that bolt is so close to that I can't get a socket and a ratchet on it. It's a 30mm bolt. It's big, and they say it's torqued to 300 foot-pounds. So I'm going to have to find a way to loosen that up. And then they say to loosen the fender liner and get up and undo the bolts at the top. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do. It turns out this ratchet with a 30mm socket on it just barely fit in there, and I was able to break it free, so now I can just unscrew it. I could get it loose and then just barely get it off of there, so now I'll use a wrench to get it off. I had to take out the 2 plastic clips from these holes in the liner, and now I've got my wrench. I put a box for a spacer in there. You can see I'm on this wrench and I'm using 2 wrenches together. I'm just gonna loosen that up. You can see they're pretty tight. I think they're 41 foot-pounds is what you torque them to. So I'm just gonna go along and loosen up these 3. Turns out I had to remove a few more fender clips and this little part down here to free up this fender's liner so I could get in there, because that back bolt is way back there. Now with this loosened up about halfway, I can get in there and loosen. Okay, I got that one out of there and I'm ready to put the new one in. This is the old shock and the new shock side by side. It does look like the HOSS 3 is just slightly taller than the other one. And what's weird, you can see this is marked with yellow and brown for the spring. This is for the rear. The fronts were marked with green and purple, and they have a different tag on them. So I'm going to try to research what these different spring rates are that they put on these. But anyway, this is the difference between the 2 shocks. The kit comes with new top nuts for the new shock, and I couldn't help myself. I had to clean out that area behind where the shock goes. It was pretty grimy. I've got the new nuts tightened on there. They don't give you much space, so I have to tell you, I had to use a combination of different ratchets and ratcheting wrenches to get in there, because you have to reach behind the shock and so on. So it took a variety of things, but I got them all in there and tightened down. I can put the fender liner back now. By just moving the jack on the axle, I was able to line this up, get that bolt through pretty easily. You can see the nut has that tang sticking that hits that bracket coming out, so it holds that in place, and you just tighten it from the other side. Okay, this one is installed and torqued down. I'm ready to put the wheel back on and start on the other side. Okay, the tire's on. I can lower it and start on the other side. Okay, I got the other side off. You can see how I had to fold back the fender liner and just use a little piece of wire to hold it so I could get in there. It's tight in there, but with a little bit of work you can get it. I was interested to see what the weight difference is between these 2. So I got out my scale. This one is 27.3 for the Fox. This one is 24.4. So this is over 3 pounds heavier. And you can kind of tell because it's just thicker. Anyway, that's the weight difference between them. I have the new one bolted in at the top. Now I'm ready to put the bottom bolt in. Got the bottom bolt in and torqued. So this one is mounted. The first one took me about 2 hours to get to this point. This one, it's been about 1 hour. So I was able to do it in half the time, but it's still, the front ones took me about 2 hours a piece. These ones aren't that much different. They say they're so much easier in the back. Maybe a little easier, but it's still a lot to do to reach in and get all those bolts and all this. So it takes a while, but I'm ready to put the fender liner back and put the tire on. I've got the fender liner back, but before I put the tire on, the kit also comes with a rear sway bar. Well, I've got the car lifted and I got the tire off so I get some light in there. I'm going to try to thread that rear sway bar in and get it mounted. This is what the rear sway bar looks like. You notice that I took off these. They said it's easier to put on. There's these little rubber tabs that you push in, and then you can remove these brackets. They said it's easier to put on with those brackets removed. And then here's the hardware that goes. These fit into the frame. These are the links. They give you 2 of those. And then of course they give you the nuts to go with it. So I'm going to try to get this thing mounted and see how it goes. Okay, I'm under the Bronco. I put those clips on each side. I finagled this bar up and over there, which, by the way, took some doing, and I think they're right. I don't know how I would have done it with the brackets on there, because you have to finagle and finagle to where you finally get it in here. And these are the brackets that it's going to attach to. They're attached to the frame on each side. And so next I have to put the metal brackets back on and then attach them to those studs. I have the brackets attached on each side, and so now I'm ready to put on these end links. I've got the end links mounted loosely on here on both sides. Now I'm going to put the tire on and get the car level so that there isn't tension in this bar, and then tighten these up. You'll notice you have to hold the end of the bolt with this and then tighten with that, because these turn inside of those links, kind of like a ball joint. So I'm gonna have to get a wrench, a couple of wrenches to tighten these up. I've got the end links tightened up. I also put the acorn nuts on the end of these and tightened them on. So the sway bar is installed, and I think we're ready to try it out. This is what it looks like with the sway bar installed. You can see it goes back up over there, and it's mounted on the axle right there. The tires are both back on and torqued, so I'm going to take it for a test drive to settle the suspension and then do the final measurement on ride height for the rear. Okay, it's all done. I measured the back, and it turns out with the HOSS 3, I lost about a ½ an inch of ride height in the back, and I gained about a ½ an inch in the front from the shocks. And like I said, I gained an extra ½ an inch in the front from my spacers. So this is how it sits now. I also took it in for an alignment, and it turns out they didn't have to change the settings on those lower control arm bolts. I marked them, I put them back to factory specs. Those are the ones that influence camber and caster, and they said those checked out fine and didn't need any adjustment at all. So I just had them torque them to the spec, get them nice and tight. But it's all done, and that's how it sits. I'm gonna say it's almost perfectly level. When I measured it, the back is about 1/2 inch higher than the front, so it has just a very slight rake to it, but it's got a nice stance. And I took it out both on-road and off-road for a test. I have to say, it is an absolute dream. What you find is any kind of chop off-road, that choppy sort of surface, it just soaks it up. I felt like the Bilsteins were fighting it, and it was mostly resisting the chop. This just soaks up the chop, and then the big hits, it smooths those out too. Same thing on the road. When you get to parts of the road that are very rough, it just soaks up that roughness. It's so smooth and it's so plush, both on and off road, but you can't bottom it. It has great bottoming resistance, and so it's great for big hits, but it's really, really plush on the chop. I've done a lot of dirt bike in my life, and that's the holy grail of suspension, is to get really plush suspension for the small stuff, for the choppy stuff, but really, really strong suspension for the big hits so it won't bottom. And that's what these Fox shocks do for your Bronco. So I love them. For what I've driven them so far, I just love the feel of them and the ride. It is a huge improvement over the Bilsteins, which, by the way, I thought were good, but I just felt on the small stuff a lot of harshness, a lot of resistance, whereas this just soaks it up and makes it very plush.